Okay guys, we shall start with the session. So like yesterday we came to know about abstract and interface and why we use interface. Today I thought of starting about collections, but right now a lot of people are not here in this session. Some texted that they are busy, but still too many people are missing. So we shall continue with the core Java. Like one more topic, I'll continue with the inner classes. So once there are enough people in the session, I'll start the collection framework, because collection framework is one of the main things what you are going to use in Java while working on a real-time applications, real-time projects. So too many people are missing right now, so I'll continue the session with the core Java. Once if I feel like there are enough people to start with the collection framework, we will get into the collection. So for now I'll start with the inner classes. As I said before in the previous sessions, at the beginning of Java training sessions, I talked about if else conditions and for loop, and even I have given examples about inner for loop and inner if condition, which we call nested if or nested for loop. So today we are going to see about inner classes. As I said before, like you are going to loop a loop inside a loop, which is nested for loop, and as I said, you are going to use if condition nested inside if condition. As same we are going to use classes inside class. And how we are going to do that? We shall start with the example by practical. So I'll share my screen. So I should be having some examples about loops. Yeah, look here in the loops, while loop, package, for loop. So it's not here. So I'll take one example and I'll show there with the example. So today is Thursday, right? I'll create a package for Thursday. The package name should always start with a lowercase. Look here, you can see no warning, but if you start with the uppercase, it's not an error, but it will give you warning, discouraged package name. You have to focus on that too. So I'll give you a Thursday, and here I'm going to write a class like nested. I'll close all these tabs which I have did yesterday. So here in the class nested, this is a class. As I said before, this is my if condition. Inside this you are going to write the condition, whatever you want you can write the condition, you have to set it there. And inside this you are going to ask something like SYSOUT. For now I'll just remove the main method. You are going to ask this if condition inside this nested class, and here just ignore the error here. Just ignore the error, because it is showing I have not written completely about the class, I'm just defining it here. So you have if else condition. So this is your if else condition. So moving on, you will be having a nested if, like this if else, this is if condition and this is else condition, and inside this you are able to write another if. That is what we call nested if condition, or like inner, like this is what we call nested, a condition inside a condition. So this is about the conditions, like if condition, nested, and we had for loop example, like how to determine the multiple arrays. This was for loop, and inside the for loop we are going to write another for loop. This is what we call nested for loop. So in here today's example, I am going to do the same example about inner classes. Can we write a class inside a class? Don't say. So now I'll create a class, new. I'll write this class as outer class. Let it have a main method so that I can write my functionality there itself. Now look here, you have a class. This is your main method, this is your class, okay, and inside this you are going to write an attribute like int x is equals to 5. This is what we call attribute. This is class, and inside the class you have one attribute. As I said before, condition inside a condition, nested condition. Just hold on a second, guys. Condition inside a condition we call nested condition, and loop inside a loop we call nested for loop. For classes we will be using, look, this is a class, and inside this class I am going to create another class, inner class. So I am having a class inside a class, and now I'll have a main method inside the main class. So this is one thing you have, you just ignore for this now. This is your class, you have one attribute and you have one main method, and inside the class itself I'll add another class, and inside this class I'm going to add another attribute, int y is equals to 8. Look, now this attribute is for this class, this is the whole class, and inside this we have another class whose attribute will be 8. Now I have to check whether these two will get accessed. So suppose this is from another state and this is from within this state, which is like outside. This will be the outside. Now I have to get access for this both. So first I am going to create an object for outer class. So here I am going to write outer class O is equal to new outer class. So if here using the object, as in the previous sessions you can see, using the object you can get access to your output. So I'll make here O plus y plus O point x. As you can see here, O, which is the object, dot x, you are not getting any error. Look here, no red line has been drawn in between. Look here, just observe here, on the O point x you are not seeing any error, but on the O point O you are seeing error. So I'll remove this and I'll run this example and able to see whether I'm able to get the output of look here in the console you are able to see 5. So this attribute, when you create the object of this class, you are able to get access for this class. Now you have to access this. Can you make it O point y? So now you are getting this error because this object O for the outer class can only access what is inside this. So this is a completely a different class. This is completely a different class. So how you are going to make access for that? So here for this we are going to create an object of different type. Now just observe that here this O, I'll make the object as outer. The object for the outer class will be outer, outer, and I'll make this as outer.x. and if I run it here you are able to see 5, but if you check the same object for y, no output you can get there. It will tell you exception. So how you are going to access this int 8? You have the object for outer class. So how I'm going to do that? I have the object for outer class, right? Now I have to create the object for this class so that I can get access for this. How I'm going to do that? I'm going to create, you cannot just write inner class in is equal to new and now I'll check sysout and I'll check in.y. Even before checking, it is giving me error. Look here. Now if I make use of this class and if I check this in.y, look here, even before I check, it is giving me the error. What is the error? No enclosing instance of type outer class is accessible. Must qualify the allocation with the enclosing instance of the outer class. It means that this inner class cannot create an object because it is already in someone's house. In someone's house, you are allowing someone with a room, but you cannot provide him another hall, another kitchen, or another room. You can just provide a room. And if you try to create another hall and kitchen inside a room, it will give you the error. So first you have to mention for this you are living in other's house. So to create that, the inner class what you have to attach it with the outer class. That is why you got error. Now if you make if you make this is someone's home, and inside someone's home I am inside it, right? So this is how you create the object of the inner class. And here you cannot use new, you have to take this outer object which is the original home. This is the main thing, right? The main thing. And you have to create the new inner class. New look, now error has gone. So you can create the object for the house, but you cannot create the object for a room. This room is completely different. This is also a class, but if you have to create object for that, you have to do this way. Now if I check for outer X, so observe here, to get this access I have this object for the outer class. So I am going to check outer dot X, and to get this value for this inner class object I have in. So now if I run my application, now you are able to get both the values. Now I am going to add both the values. I am going to add both the values. Outer dot X plus in dot Y. So outer class X attribute and inner class Y attribute I am going to add. So now you got the final value 5 plus 8, 13. So this is how you write class inside a class, and this is how you are going to access the value. You are going to create the objects. And one more thing, as I said, this class can be public, but what if it is the inner class? If inner class is private, look, I am talking about the inner class. This inner class is private, and if you look, no errors here, but if you run your application, you have the private class, inner class here. Okay, now you have made your inner class as private. Now if you check the object for this, it should be giving you error as I made the class as private inner. So this means that you cannot access the value inside of that, but still it is not able to give me error. I have the class int x is equals to 5. Now I have defined private class interface. Now inside I have int y. Well, as I have created everything inside the main method, it is giving me error. So suppose I'll create another class here for now. Let it just be, this is the main class, and inside this I'm having this class. And now I'll create another class main, and inside this I'm going to pass my main method. So let the main method be inside this main. if I make this class private, as I say, I'll change the values, default values I'm going to change. I'll make this 15. I'll make this 18. And I have created the same class outer dot class, my outer and new outer class, and outer class dot inner class is equal to in is equal to outer dot new inner class, and I have asked the method. Well, as guys, I don't know why it is showing. It should be able to show the error, but it is running. I don't know why. I think my setup has went wrong. But if your inner class is private, you cannot access this value. Right now you are able to access this because my setup has gone something wrong. If you have just, but if the setup was correct, it is handled that this private class, once you cannot create this object, it will give you error. So once if you use this private keyword in your inner class, it should be throwing you error, but right now it is not throwing any error. I think because of the setup configuration. I have installed some tools today, so based on that it is not able to give error at the first. If you only concentrate on core Java, like now I have some advanced setup. If you remove that advanced setup, right, then if you use the private keyword here, it means that you are not able to access this y using this im.y. So that is why we use private keyword. And one more thing we have is that the static. We have static keyword here. If this class is static, if you have a static class, no need to look here, already you got the error. No need to mention this object. Right away you can check it as x.y. So here I have in the outer class I have int x, and in the static class I have int y, and here in the main method what I did was that outer class dot, so no need to create this outer, like I'll ignore this and let this one be here, so no need to mention this. And here this outer you cannot give the dot here. What you have to do is that, like, you can create only one object. No, if the inner class is static, no need to mention the object for the outer class, and no need to mention the object of the inner class specifically. All you have to do is that outer class dot inner class dot a variable, and you are going to create a new inner class and outer class. New inner class and sorry, I should be doing outer class dot inner class. So you have created an object from the outer class dot inner class to access this only if the keyword is static for the inner class. And here all I'm going to use is that outer class dot inner class. And now if I run my example, now you are able to got 18, but in the previous example you did not, Look, if I remove this static keyword, then it will throw you error. If the keyword, the inner class has a keyword of static, then you can use this kind of option for creating an object, a single line. But if the inner class is not static, then you have to create this way. So this is all about the inner classes and outer classes. It is same as what we did in the previous class about nested for loops or nested if condition. This is nested class. So when it comes to nested class, if you have a public class, you are going to create the object like this in the previous thing. I will share the session, you can look into it how the previous example was. Just I'll do here, I'll create another one outer class so that class. I'll just make this outer class with a single S. So I'll copy paste this. And I'll just replace everything with outer class. I have to make this public, and here I'll remove this thing. No enclosing interval accessible must qualify. You know why you are able to see this error? Because your inner class is not static. So once if you make static, then no error is here. You are able to access this. But what if your class was not static? So I'll go to the previous method. Look here, if the keyword is not static, you are going to access this 18 using this method. So you have to create the class outer class object. This is the outer class object. Once you create the outer class object, first you have to get the key for this house to get into this attribute. Then using this outer, look here, this outer, then you are going for the room. Then you have to check the key for the inner class. How you are going to do that? You are going to first check for the object outer class, then dot inner class, then assign a variable, and here you have to use this key of the outer class. Dot inner class is equals to. Now you are going to get the access for this attribute which is inside. Now if I run my example, you are able to see this value 18. The another thing what you are getting is that it is from the addition. Now if I run this example, look here, as I said before, if you need to access, so this is a home, first you have to get inside the home, then you have to go inside the room to get access for this 18. How you are going to do that? First you have to create the object which is like the key, and using this key, look here, I have used this object here. Using this I am able to get inside the room, this inner class. And now if I check this in.y, I am able to fetch 18 only if the class has only class inner class. But once if I make this static, it will give error, throw error. This is not correct. So if there is a static class inside the inner class, no need to create the key for the house. No need to create the key for the house. You can directly go access here outer dot inner, and here new outer dot inner, and right away you can access this if only the class is static. Now if I run this example, you are able to get that value 18. Observe here the static keyword here in the inner class, that is the difference. Here no static keyword, you have to use this method. If the inner class has a static keyword, this is how you do it. But if the inner class has a private, you cannot do anything. You cannot just access it. It means that it is private. You cannot access anything. You just cannot access anything once if you make this inner class as private. Once if you use this private keyword, you cannot access this 18. Even though if you have the key for this house, even though if you have the key for this room, you cannot get this once if you use the private keyword. So ignore the private keyword for the inner classes. Always it should be like a default one. If you have written nothing, by default it is public, or else you can write this as public. If you have not written, by default public, and this is the way to get access for the inner class attribute. And if you mention this as private, it means that you cannot get access to this object. And if you mention this as static, I am only talking about the inner class. This is the main thing that you have to focus. Once if I mention this static, then this is the way. Look, I have created the object in one line, but that is not the case in the public method, where you have to generate the key for the house. Using that key, you are going to get inside the room. But when the room is static, inner class, you have to just create one key. Now if you run this is the same thing. So as not many people have attended the class, I have taken this concept. Just understand this concept, like you can use class inside a class, and you have to know the inner class is public, or by default you have to use this method, and if the inner class is static, you have to use this method, and if the inner class is private, you can never access the attribute which is private. As I said before, so many people have been missing in the session, so I have not went to collection framework. I have just continued the session, not to be given gap, so I have continued with these inner classes and outer classes. So once if I feel like there are enough people to start the collection, I'll start the collection framework. So for now, just know how inner classes you can use in your Java file. Okay, so for now I'll end this session with these inner classes, and sorry that I couldn't share the video of yesterday's session. Today within 9 I will share both the videos, yesterday's session about abstract and interface, and today's session about inner classes. You go through this, and tomorrow if I feel like there are many people in the session, I will start with the collection. As many people are absent today, only few have texted they cannot join because of some other work, but still many people did not even message. So I will start the collection framework tomorrow. For now you just focus on the inner classes. And one more thing guys, just practice the OOPS concept: inheritance, polymorphism, abstract, interface. These are all the main concepts. I'll end this session for today. Have a great evening guys.
Thank you, sir.